Welcome to Pune for the FIDE Women's Grand Prix. We have Divya Deshmukh, the local girl, entering in, taking on the top Mongolian player, Munguntuul Batkhuyag. Munguntuul is the #1 player from Mongolia and she is very strong. She takes on Divya Deshmukh, who is right now on 4 out of 6. Munguntuul herself has had 2 wins already in this tournament against Alina Kashlinskaya and Salome Melia, but she's also lost a lot of games until this point. We'll see if she manages to steady her ship here. Divya getting ready, has the white pieces. If she manages to win this game, she keeps her chances of winning this tournament alive. And we see so many journalists there making their way. It's a big event that's happening in Pune, and for sure there's a lot of media interest that's going around. And a handshake, off we go. Divya with white. What is her first move going to be? The thing about Divya is that she plays both e4 and d4. She opens with d4 and immediately Munguntuul plays d5. We have the queen's gambit with c4. And then comes pawn to c6, the Slav defense, considered to be very solid. Knight comes out to f3. Now the c8 bishop is open. It can move. So that's one of the benefits here. e3 played by Divya, closing down one of her bishops but opening the other one. Now bishop f5 is a normal move, and that is what Munguntuul plays here. She has her bishop outside the pawn chain so that after knight c3 she can push her pawn to e6, and the bishop on f5 is quite happy. But Divya is like, give me your bishop, I'm attacking it. And right now the bishop on f5 moves to e4. The point is, if you take here, I take back with the pawn and your knight is unable to retreat. So that's the reason why pawn to f3, the bishop drops back to g6. And next we can simply chop off this bishop, and Divya instead goes bishop d2. She just makes this little developing move. In a way also, when the queen will move away, the white king will go long castles. Bishop e7 played here. Both players moving pretty quickly, seem to be well prepared out of the opening. Now Divya takes on g6. Knight takes g6. H takes g6 played. And she plays her queen to c2. Now this queen here is well placed. It's looking at the g6 pawn. Also long castles is the idea. And Munguntuul now has to decide how to continue her development. Knight d7 makes a lot of sense. She brings her knight out. Well, white has the bishop pair, also a very strong center. But what black has is very well developed pieces. By the way, long castle by Divya, showing her intentions. You have to play this very carefully as black. You cannot take it lightly. One idea is to simply go queen c7, preparing long castle yourself, which looks safe. But Munguntuul takes on c4. And it's a decent move. The idea is that if you take with the bishop, she wants to expand on the queen side with b5. You can see Divya has hardly taken any time. One of the things that Divya is really good at is opening prep, and she takes on c4 with her bishop. Now b5. Yes, that's what is played. The bishop now can just simply drop back to e2. It's a good square to be on. Bishop d3 is also possible to look here, but yeah, bishop e2 played here by Divya. And now a6 with the idea of c5 makes a lot of sense. Let's see what Munguntuul comes up with. She goes rook c8. And what could be more natural than to place your rook opposite not just the white queen, but also the white king here. Divya calmly puts her king to the side of the board. And now short castle. Well, this is a super dangerous move played here by Munguntuul. She's played short castle, but Divya can simply hurl her pawns up the board and open up the king side. And she does it right away. Well, you don't need second invitations for Divya. She will be right at her opponent's throat now. h4 with the idea of h5, opening up the position. a6 played by Munguntuul. Well, she's bit too slow here. Divya can actually go g4, but hey, can you actually go h5 as well here to simply open up the position? Instead of a6, b4 was necessary to start posing some threats to the white pieces. But now Divya takes her time. This is the moment to think, to sort of build her attack, and she goes h5. What a beautiful move. Her point is, if you take here, she'll go g4 and open up the h file, and if you take with the knight, she will still play g4 and double up the rooks here. It's super dangerous, which is the reason why Munguntuul keeps the position closed with g5. However, the downside of this is that now h6, I'm going to go even further. First she plays e4, opening up the bishop here and attacking the pawn on g5. 54 minutes to Divya, 51 minutes to Munguntuul. c5 played here, trying to open up the rook's path. Well, I think the best move now is to push the pawn forward, which is what Divya does. She's playing an amazing attacking game. These are the kinds of positions that Divya loves. Just free-flowing, full of attacking possibilities. And now ed5 makes a lot of sense. Yes, she takes it back. Now a big threat is bishop takes pawn. You have to deal with it. The other threat could very well be d6 coming in later. Plays b4. Whew! The game now heats up. You want to move the knight. Knight a4, not a bad move at all. But can you keep your initiative flowing, not having to react to your opponent's moves? You can see that Divya pushes her pawn forward with h6. What a beautiful move. Because if you take on c3, she'll take on g6, and then after bishop c3, queen f5, it's a huge attack here that's moving. So g6 played. Munguntuul is trying to keep the position closed, but for how long? For how long will she manage to do that? And now Divya gives up another pawn, d6. In doing so, she opens up her rook's path to her opponent's queen right here. Bishop takes d6, and now bishop takes on g5. The knight, the queen, it's a pin here. The rook is attacking the bishop. The bishop drops back on e7, breaking the pin. But now, let's see what Divya comes up with next. Well, you can move the knight to a4, but bishop takes a6 is the best move. How difficult or easy is that move? She takes it. Wow. The point is, if you go rook a8, then bishop c4 with the idea of queen g6. What an amazing move by Divya. And Munguntuul is like, I'm taking your knight now. Will Divya take the rook? She's taking her time. Yes, she does. Bishop takes c8. Comes queen takes c8 on the board. And now there's pressure here. There's pressure here. There's h7 coming in. Too many things happening on the board. h7 played by Divya. Beautiful. She wants to actually make a queen. Of course, you can't take knight h7. The bishop is hanging. So king g7 played. But can we go bishop h6 check and pick up the rook? Maybe. But Divya is like, I don't need the rook. I'm pinning you here. That's my plan. Rook takes d7 somewhere in the air. Rook e8 played. Just coming out of these threats of picking up the rook. And right now, if we see, Divya has a rook for 2 pieces. She goes rook d e1. Threatening to take. Rook takes and queen. That should be a good plan. Queen d8 played, so that rook takes e7 is met with queen takes e7. And now g4. Essentially what Divya is saying, that you don't have moves. Your knight is pinned. The other knight cannot move so easily. The bishop cannot move. Wow. King h8. So Munguntuul says, I'm going to wait. You tell me how you're going to break through here, Divya. And Divya shows the way. She goes bishop h4. Her idea is to push g5, where she attacks the pinned knight even further. King g7, not much to do here. You can look at Divya there. She's relaxing in her chair. She knows that she has many ways to win this position. But you know, she's an artist at heart and she will try to find the most creative way to do it. g5 first. So now the knight is pinned. Rook h8 played. And okay, she wants to take here. That's the plan. And so Divya first chops off the bishop. Rook takes e7. Wow. Munguntuul is at loss for words right now. What to do? Of course, she has to take back the rook. There's nothing else to do. She takes queen takes e7. And now, what next? G takes f6 is the best move here. And she takes it. Pawn takes knight. Knight takes on f6. Now you will see that there is a pin here and there is a pin here. But what should we do? Like, because you know, rook h7 doesn't work. Bishop f6, queen f6, and then the rook hangs. So Divya, realizing this, just plays bishop g5. She's like, I'm keeping the pin. You can't move the king. You can't move the rook. You can't move the knight. You can't move the queen. You can't do much. Queen e6. Okay, threatening a check and taking the bishop. So have to be a little careful there. King c1 played. So that no more checks here. Also the bishop now controls this diagonal. So no more diagonal checks. Queen f5. f4. Defending the bishop. Oof, this is such a tough position to play. Munguntuul now. She can actually resign the game with a clear conscience here. But also she can wait for Divya to show her the way that she wants to win. Queen e6 played, and perhaps it's now time to make the last trump card start moving, that is the a pawn. It's free to move down the board, and right now Divya pushes her a pawn with her left hand. She's like, okay, I just need to make some moves now. Completely winning here. a4 played. Queen c6, hitting the rook just in case if Divya forgets about it. a4 pawn is also under pressure, but you can't take this as f6 would hang. So rook h2 played calmly by Divya. And as we just said, like rook h7 impossible, because I take and rook h7 and you lose the queen here. So she plays queen e6. Munguntuul is waiting for the hammer to fall here. But also, if you look at it, this game kind of shows how powerful a pin is. It's just impossible for black to move when you are able to put forth the right kind of pin. It's just crazily strong. Now a6 will be met with queen takes a6. So you need to find a way to make progress. She takes queen takes f6. Queen takes. Bishop takes. King takes. And now we go a6 with the idea of a7, a8, rook takes and h8, winning a full rook. That's the plan here. Otherwise, if you were going to wait with black, I'm simply going up. She plays king to f5, trying to create counterplay here. But this is not working out. This is for sure just a7. And Munguntuul now has to see if king takes f4, 8, rook 8, h8, rook h8, rook h8. Is that any chances? No, these two pawns are not going to help. The white king is just too close. And this is already game over. I think you can see there Divya waiting for her opponent to resign the game. Munguntuul also seeing if she has any final opportunities left. She stops the clock, gives her hand in resignation there. Divya Deshmukh scores a very nice win, moves to 5 points out of 7, showing that she is a world-class player. Her opponent has all the experience of many years of playing at top-level chess, but Divya simply managed to outwit her with her very nice opening prep, and then when her opponent went wrong, she just completely unleashed herself on the position with these moves h4, h5, g4, and like there was absolutely no way in which Munguntuul could have survived. A very nice game by Divya. Reminds me of the games played by Morphy, in the yesteryears, where you just attack without a care in the world. And this was fantastically played. For now, this is Sagar Shah signing off. Thank you.